Hey everybody, this is Strategywizard again, and today I'm going to be doing another one of my me versus the critics of a game that I really like, and in this case, it's Mr. Jack, which, as I mentioned in my review, I know that Tom Vassell with the Dice Tower isn't a big fan of it, but Z Garcia is. I don't really know what Tom's reasons are for not liking it per se, but on Board Game Geek we've got plenty of people who do not like it, and we're going to see what they say. So again, just want to remind everybody, this is mostly in fun, but also to give you an idea of what it is that people don't like about it, to see if that might influence whether or not you would like it. But again, it's also in fun. So let's go ahead and start with the 1 stars. There's not that many of them. I'll post somewhere over here what the breakdown is, but of the ratings, so you can get an idea. But 1 stars here. First one, although Mr. Jack doesn't really involve asymmetrical play, it does require very asymmetrical thinking. I agree with that. Its gameplay is a great idea, but poorly executed because of how the odds are stacked against him. Jack is impossible to win with. As a loss for Jack is unavoidable, this game is broken. The gameplay is a nice system and had promise, but should have been better implemented. The designers should have play-tested more. They say that Jack can't help but lose, and I don't see how that's possible. I mean, whenever I think back on the times that we've played, I don't know who wins most often, but it seems to me that Jack is not in some horribly disadvantaged situation because, and obviously, given the fact that most people like this game, obviously a lot of people find that Jack can win, otherwise no one would like it. So I don't know why they think that. I know I can think of a time in particular that I've at least been extraordinarily close to winning with Jack, and I'm sure Jack has won before. In fact, I seem to remember one time in particular that Jack won with me or my wife playing, I can't remember who, where it was almost, it happened pretty quick. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of choices to be taken into account, and if Jack can manage to be unseen and also be getting close to one of the exits, it's not that unfeasible. So I don't think it's nearly as imbalanced as this person thinks. This person says, anything to do with serial killing gets as low marks for me as possible. Okay, so for him it's the theme. If you don't like the theme, obviously you shouldn't get the game. But that's not a reason to give the game a bad rating, in my opinion, because is the game good or not? The theme, some people like it. That'd be like if I didn't like, I don't know, a lot of these, I guess, things like viticulture and stuff like that. The theme to me is very boring. I don't care about wine. I don't care about making wine. I'm not going to give the game a bad rating because I think that wine is a utterly boring theme. I understand this guy's going more based on, I guess, the morality of it. But again, there's a lot of games that involve killing, and any game you play that has combat is killing people, and one side would consider themselves the good guys, just like. And again, I understand this is a little different, but the theme to me doesn't take away from the game. That's just me. Well, that's a personal thing. I just don't think you should rate a game at 1 because you don't like it. The theme bothers you. This guy says, near impossible run out with Jack. Very difficult, more randomness is what he means to say, than tactics in this game. I bought it because it was very much recommended to me, but after about 10 games I'm disappointed. Jack has no chance. Who said that it's about clever tactics? I say it's not true. So another person here thinks that Jack has the disadvantage. So, again, I might even agree. I'll just say this, that maybe it is a little harder for Jack in the sense that the good guy has a more streamlined way of winning. He's deducing stuff over time, almost without a doubt. He's eliminating people and getting closer. The bad guy does have to be a little more clever in how they maneuver and how they try to mislead the good guy. So I would say the better player should play Jack for sure. But again, Jack can win. They act like he can't. That's not true. And it's not really that random. In fact, they say it's random with no tactics. The game is almost completely tactical. I'm trying to think, randomness, what is there? I mean, it's random who Jack is because he draws his tile. That's random. He doesn't know who he's going to be when he starts. Then, whenever you draw the 4 tiles, the first 4, that's random which 4 pop up. And then the next 4, of course, it's random what the next set will be. And then you shuffle them up, and every time you pull the 4 that pop up is random, but who you choose to move as the good guy, then the bad guy, etc., that's choice, and it matters a lot. So I disagree that there's a lot of randomness. It's almost all tactical choice, in my opinion. But that's all the 1 stars that have bad reviews. Let's go. All the 1 stars. They have comments. Let's go ahead and see what we've got in the 2s. This guy says, borrowed copy, 3 plays. Girlfriend fell in love with it because of Sherlock Holmes. So New York version, I was looking at it as off the wish list. Okay, this guy's kind of making it hard on me. Looked like a neat, fast game of deduction, as advertised, with the detective winning most of the time. I've read afterwards that we made basic mistake of trying to run away as Jack. Okay, and I guess what he's saying is, running away is a way to win. The other way is to keep yourself hidden all the way to the end of the 8th turn, which is, maybe that is the strongest and easiest way to win, is what he's implying. And it's that situational. If you can try to throw off who you are and then try to leave through the exits if you want, or you can try to hang in there and survive as long as possible. But you have 2 ways. So the point is, don't act like there's only one way to win. As Mr. Jack. Okay, this one says, this game has a cool flavor despite the presence of some ahistorical characters in the game. That said, this game's premise promises more than the gameplay actually manages to deliver. I really like the movement and the variable powers of the various characters. I feel like these help create the opportunity for some clever play. Unfortunately, I feel like the ability to only move characters whose cards come up severely hampers the player playing Jack the Ripper. Sometimes, due to the game opening positions of the characters, and the luck of the draw, the Jack the Ripper player will have a rough time defensively positioning himself and not throwing the game to the investigator player. Actually, this is true for every turn of the game. A lot of people seem to think that Jack has no chance. So basically, the whole game rests on flawless play by the Ripper player and the luck of the draw as far as what character cards come up. I fail to see the challenge for the investigator player at all. The investigator player can play suboptimally for most of the game and still win. Whenever the Ripper character makes a mistake, or when the card limits the Ripper's defensive ability too much, I feel like a much more satisfying 2-player deduction game would be Scotland Yard. Update, man, this game is terrible. There's barely a game here. I find this interesting. So you can see that a common theme here for people who don't like the game is that Jack the Ripper has no chance. That's what they say. Okay, this one says, it is very rare for me to research a game so thoroughly before purchasing it to only wind up detesting it after a few plays. Mr. Jack is theoretically a good game, yet I would have to disagree wholeheartedly. After playing 2 sessions, I was left very unfulfilled. Not only did I feel the game was laughably unbalanced, but there was no way the Jack player could ever make it to turn 8 without being uncovered or accused, yet let alone escape. Unless the inspector is not very bright or extremely unlucky, Mr. Jack has no chance of winning due to strategy. It is all luck. I played 9 sessions total as Jack, and in the end won once due to simple luck. The conditions were set up perfectly for me to escape. I thought maybe my strategy was flawed and gave the inspector's side a try, and found I could even not pay attention and still win. I am not at all whining. I am simply stating my perception of a game that I really wanted to like. I love the theme, yet this really falls short on all accounts. I understand that the dark theme would make some people uncomfortable, but that is no excuse to bubble it up with cartoon renditions. Simply put, the artwork does not match the theme whatsoever. Some of the components, such as the game board and the character pieces, are just nice, but for the price of the game, the quality is significantly lacking. The character and alibi cards are way too thick and show wear just after a few plays. I don't have that problem. Mine are in good shape. And I take excessively good care of my games at all times. I do understand that I am a minority and that I am one of few who don't find Mr. Jack loads of fun, but I think I gave this game many chances to justify the pumped-up reviews it got here. Similar to other people, also we didn't like the components. I like the components other than the fact that, the board artwork is not that great to me, but pieces are fine. We found the choices in-game and are simple and don't require deep thinking, contrary to what we expected from deduction-type games. In 2 plays, only we realized a simple and likely unbeatable strategy and lost any of leftover interest in the game. Looked like a game for kids, adding to the fact that the game itself is not much... their English is... You give me a hard time. Adding to this fact, the game itself is not much special and component quality is poor. Sold. Oh, well, I disagree. I don't think the component quality is poor. Artwork is maybe not the best. This guy says, nice, but not for me. Okay, fine. This guy says, disappointed by this when it was labeled as a deduction game, even though it's more about area control. Area control? In what sense? I don't know how there's area control in this game. There's one big area, and Mr. Jack is either trying to escape or he's trying to just hide for 8 turns. I mean, I don't know what areas you're controlling here. I was in the mood for Clue with this one, and I got multi-directional checkers. On top of that, I just didn't think it was fun. That part is just me. Okay, fair enough. I part with my fellow geeks here. Pretty game, but my experience after multiple plays with multiple players is that the game is broken in the detective's favor. We went so far as to allow selection of cards by Jack, and still Jack can't win without a mistake by the detective. I think the expansions were meant to fix this, so perhaps if you're willing to sink more money into the game, it may be okay. As is, it's only good for the initial novelty. Should be a fine kids game. This guy says, Yucksville, rubbish can solve it every time without bothering to do much. I don't really get what he's saying. Wow, I just don't get why everyone is so happy with this game. The deduction is blatantly obvious. My first game was over in 3 minutes and was most unsatisfying. I don't know how you could end the game in 3 minutes unless you got super lucky. And I watched 2 friends play it 3 times in a row looking for something worthwhile in the game, and they couldn't. I won't be coming back for more of this. Whew, boy, I gotta admit, I'm finding the comments interesting here. Maybe more interesting than y'all are, if anyone's even watching this. Okay, this guy says, reviews made this sound fun. This is the 3 stars, by the way. Reviews made this sound fun, and the first couple of plays got old really quick. Good luck winning with Jack. More of the same people saying that Jack is hard to win with. No, that's not helpful. Wow, not certain we got the rules right, as it feels like a dumb game. Well, I would think you probably didn't get the rules right, but this may just be one of those that's just like a, I don't know. I don't know. I see no reason I'd want to play this game over Scotland Yard. I gave it to my sister. It's a nice abstract 2-player game, but a bit heavy, and I never got it played. It's not really heavy to me. I thought her husband might have more luck getting it to the table. Fun, interesting game. Be ready for asymmetric results. Hard as heck to explain the rules in a way that makes the complexity come through, but it really, really gets interesting fast after the first play or so. I like it's a 2P optimized game without perfect information, but there is a lot control. And it really is plus or minus 30 minutes. Okay, I don't really get his point. I don't even know if he meant to give it 3 stars. An enjoyable game that can be brought out every now and again. Need to get more plays of it to really get a good grasp on it. Fun but not great. Fun but not great. I wouldn't give 3 stars to something I thought was fun unless they changed the review over time and didn't. Maybe they changed their score but didn't change the review. That's in Spanish. Not going to try it. Not as much fun as expected. The method of deduction made the game unbalanced in favor of the detective. I like the theme. I do not like the gameplay. So again, someone who says that the detective has the advantage. Not really much fun to it. Nothing unique or lasting. A light 2-player deduction. We just don't play this much. The game just doesn't have enough variety for me. Still deciding if I should get the expansions or just let the game go. Okay, this guy starts off, wow, oh my gosh, everything's an update. Update. Didn't get it to the table. Maybe I should start at the bottom. I enjoy the dynamic at work. I'll have to play more, but I do see the advantage for the detective. There's a lot of thought here. Maybe a bit much for my partner, but I enjoy that element. Sometimes, though, it seems like Jack gets cornered and can't do anything about it. Update. My girlfriend thinks this is way too thinky. I like that part of it, and isn't compelled by the theme or deductive elements of it. We've not played much, but much as I look forward to it, I would consider trading it away. Another update. I'm going to have to get this to the table a few more times, but my girlfriend has no interest in dredging this up. And while I'd like to get some plays in, I don't think I'm too disappointed by by the lack of playing. I guess I'd probably trade this one out for Raw or something. And final update. Didn't get it to the table again and shuffled off this mortal coil. I'm okay with that. I thought the theme was good, but it wasn't deduction so much as elimination. You're not puzzling out the identity of Jack so much as figuring out how to split up the suspects. The mechanism just didn't do anything either. C'est la vie. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't really get this game. After only a couple of plays, I have zero desire to play again. Not much to get. I mean, you're trying to figure out who Jack is, or if you're Jack, you're trying to not get found out and escape. There's not much to get here. I don't see the depth at all in this game. Admittedly, I played once as the detective, but I don't see any way, other than through an amazing amount of bad luck with the way the cards come out, that Jack can win. Just isolate the pieces between light and dark and eliminate them accordingly. In most cases, I would think it should take 3 turns to find Jack, 4 if you're really unlucky. I'll give this another try to see if I'm missing something, but I doubt it. That is a strong theme here. So I will say this. I have not experienced this sense that Jack has no chance. I have always felt like Jack had a chance, but it just makes me wonder what these people, what are they experiencing that's making them feel this way? And have I missed something maybe? I don't know. I don't think I have, but it's a lot of people saying that, and I wonder if I could find I think I'm gonna stop reading the negative ones, and I'm gonna jump to the top of some of the people who like it and see if anyone says anything about a comment about what these people are saying is imbalanced. Perfect. Okay, this is a 9-star. He says, perfect dual gateway game. The art is beautiful, so people not that into games get a good first impression. Rules are at the right level of complexity to grasp for newcomers. The game has a unique asymmetrical gameplay, but there is still a good chess vibe to it. Thanks to this comparison, people understand quickly how the game is played. There are 8 pieces, each with a unique power, and there is a lot of thinking a few turns ahead because turns work in pairs, and thinking what your opponent will do. In the end, coming up with great strategies is already possible when playing for the first time, and the skill difference of someone who played 30 versus 5 is barely noticeable, so games are always enjoyable for both people. You must adapt regularly thanks to the alternation of first player each turn and the little bit of luck going on with the random card draws every other turn. It has its limits, though. You can take a lot of time thinking during your turn, so it can get a bit annoying. And since the one playing his turn is thinking a lot, chat is not an option to pass time. Kind of like in chess, in the beginner world at least, sometimes you will lose because you didn't spend enough time checking for all the possibilities, and your opponent will be able to do that obvious game-changing thing that you completely missed. In the end, you lose frustrated thinking, I'm so dumb, instead of saying, well played. Despite that, this game has hooked every friend I played it with, and I still love playing it after so many plays. So you get this guy gets the idea that, everyone, what was he said? The skill level difference doesn't matter, it's barely noticeable, so games are always enjoyable for both people. That implies, he's implying that you have a lot of choices that makes it to where both sides do have a good chance of winning. The game has just started to get old for me after 100 plus games, and Mr. Jack getting a little old still makes it better than almost any other game. Wow, that guy really liked it. I think this is interesting. A game of deduction and back and forth play. Each game starts off the same, but it usually ends very differently. A good game for 2 players. I've got to do one more thing before I end this video. I'm going to see if I can just do a quick Google search here and see Mr. Jack, which side wins most often. Let's see if I can find something. That is not going to work, I can see. Okay, I've got another idea. Let's go to Board Game Geek and see what the comments say, what the actual any threads say. Maybe someone has said something about this. Mr. Jack, let's go. Okay, scroll down here. One of the best 2 players. Somebody said one of the best 2 players in my collection. Rules question of taking turn. House ruling to fix balance. Let's see what this is going to be interesting. I was wondering if anyone has tried house ruling this game or maybe has good suggestions on what can be done. The main issue I'm facing is that it's nearly impossible to win as Mr. Jack when you play with an experienced player who understands the deeper strategies within this game. The game is so much fun and it has so much potential, and I'd love to see maybe 1 or 2 minor fixes to balance it out better. Now, I've read around a little and I realize some will start discussing about how Mr. Jack's disadvantage isn't all that great, but I'd say it is. In fact, if 2 good players play the game optimally, Mr. Jack is about a 10% to 20% chance of winning at best. I'd like to not focus on whether people agree with my statement or not, but instead let's try to find some ideas on how to fix it, if you're willing. Here's a short summary of what I think makes winning as Mr. Jack hard and some ideas I already had to house rule it. Okay, I'm going to read these problems that this guy says. If Mr. Jack plays a great game and decides to win by lasting 8 turns, the detective can simply gamble and pick any of the suspects still remaining. The detective would lose anyway, so he may as well just pick someone for a 33% or 50% chance of winning anyway. This stinks, especially if you manage to last 8 turns as Mr. Jack, still leaving the detective in the dark about who Mr. Jack really is. I don't see that as a problem per se. I mean, and that's assuming that you can stay close enough to get all the pieces stay close enough to where you could do that, which I guess that wouldn't be hard. You could almost always, I guess, have somebody within range of someone, even if it's going through manholes. So you would, I guess, that part I can understand. I don't see it as necessarily a problem, especially because that would also depend on the tiles coming up right for you to be able to move and accuse someone that you wanted to accuse. If Sherlock Holmes or Sergeant Goodley gets drawn as Mr. Jack, you are in a disadvantage already. Really? The detective will take any chance they get to pick these characters when they come up, severely limiting the amount of moves you can make with them. I don't see how that's a disadvantage, I guess, because Sherlock Holmes is the good guy. You move him, and then you get to pull a tile to possibly get more information. That's just what his ability is. And then Sergeant Goodley can bring a total of 3 points of movement of people closer to him. What do they mean by if they get drawn as Mr. Jack? Oh, they mean in the sense of if you are Mr. Jack. I see if you're Mr. Jack, if you're the Mr. Jack character and you're either Sherlock Holmes or Sergeant Goodley, you're going to be at a disadvantage because the detective will always try to pull those people. And I'll agree with that in the sense that, yeah, if Sherlock Holmes gets picked, the good guy's going to use Sherlock Holmes almost every time if they get the chance. But if you get to go first, then you will get to use Sherlock Holmes. So I don't know. I don't know that that's necessarily that big of a deal, especially in Sergeant Goodley. I don't know. I don't necessarily see that as a big deal. But to me, it's just something that makes it to where you have to adapt as you play depending on who you are and how the card play goes. I think that just adds to replayability, personally. Problem 3. Sergeant Goodley's ability seems too strong. Being able to move up to 3 characters and also himself is so good that as Mr. Jack, you almost have to pick him whenever you get the chance just to keep from the detective picking him. This is in combination with Sherlock Holmes' ability, which is fine by itself, means that if they both come up, you're out of luck. You either let the detective find out about one suspect that isn't Mr. Jack, or you let him move about half the characters on the board. Yeah, but how did... I don't know. I'll admit that Sergeant Goodley can be powerful for trying to control who's seen and is not seen as the detective, but just because they're able to manipulate that to a large extent, it's not necessarily the end of the world either. There's ways with the other 2 characters that might come up that, let's say Sergeant Goodley comes up and the detective uses him first. Well, Jack gets 2 turns in a row before the detective gets the last turn, which would end that round. Those 2 people in the middle could make a good change, and of course you could pick Sergeant Goodley first on your turn if they don't pick him first. So I don't know. I don't think that's such a big deal. That's just me. So he has some house rule ideas. I want to see what some of these people comment on down here. And I know this video is taking forever, and I apologize, but I'm curious now to see what these people say. Recommend this be moved from... Oh, yeah, that's not important. We always play the game back-to-back, with the overall winner being the person who won both rounds, or if both escaped, the one who escaped first. If both were captured, the one who captured first. Avoids balance issues and makes the game more fun. A nice 30 minutes or so playtime. Those house rules seem acceptable. As for the guessing rule, yeah. So they have their way, which I guess they maybe agree that it's a little imbalanced, so they play both sides, and whoever does the best wins. I think the first half of this... Wait. Oh, they're quoting him where he said, "I'd like not to focus on whether people agree with my statement, but instead let's try to find some ideas on how to fix it." This guy says, "I think the first half of this sentence should read, 'Only reply if you agree with me.' But for the record, I don't. It does strike me as strange that you think that a game of skill needs to be rebalanced because people who are good at it will beat those who aren't. As long as you play twice with each player being Jack, your perceived issue with playing Jack will be shared by both players. Your observations of automatic and obvious moves suggest that there are layers of strategy that you are still to appreciate. By all means, house rule as you see fit, but in my humble opinion, you are breaking a finely balanced and clever game." Okay, so this kind of goes to the point that is what I would say that, to me, it seems like both sides have a chance of winning. This guy agrees with that, and he thinks it doesn't need to be balanced. So it's not, at this point, I'm actually glad to see someone say that after all this negativity that I've been reading. For what it's worth, there are numbers floating around that suggest that in the old edition of the game, played at a high level, the win ratio was about 60-40, Investigator Jack. Here's the designer giving some concrete numbers, but I'm pretty sure I've seen 60-40 after 1,000 plays somewhere. There used to be an online matchmaking service, and I think that's where the stats were gathered. Either way, the new edition of the game that came out in 2016 was supposed to fix that and make it skew closer to 50-50. Okay, that's the last one I'm going to read, because at this point, the old edition that I have is basically not available, so if you find Mr. Jack, it will be the new edition. So if that's something that's concerning to you, bam, there it is. You have an option. But even as this guy says, the win ratio is 60-40. That goes wildly against the claims that Mr. Jack almost cannot win. 60-40, yeah, that would make it seem like the investigator has a good odds, but that's not a wide swing in his favor. So take that for what you will. that is one of the most common problems that people have with this game. They just think that it's not balanced. So it's up to you to decide, how, again, supposedly the new version fixes that problem, so maybe it's even a moot point at this time. I don't know. I still like it. I enjoy it a lot. Look forward to playing it plenty more. You can take what you will from this video. If you liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more of these type of videos. I'll keep on doing them as I do more reviews. And leave in the comments what you think. If you have any other questions, I don't know. I'm just kind of left a little. I don't know. I just feel a little unusual after this one, because I feel like it's just interesting to see so many people with that same problem, and yet see other people who totally disagree. So please leave in the comments if you have any thoughts or questions, and I will mull over it myself, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.